Okay, so going to start off. Could you paint me a little bit of a picture, like before Can the Can came out, before
Right.
the Pleasure Seekers,
A potted
before
history.
That. Yeah. What was the rock and roll world like? The one that you were soon to infiltrate. What were their attitudes towards
In
women?
Detroit?
Globally, Detroit, whatever was personal to you, really.
I can only go by where I grew up. I mean, I was in a very musical family, 5 kids, and my father played various instruments, and we all grew up with a million music lessons, and I can play at least 5 instruments. But that's not a big deal. Everybody can play lots of instruments. I started at 14. We saw the Beatles on television, and we decided to form a band, and we formed an all-girl band. It was called the Pleasure Seekers. The scene at that time in Detroit was Motown, huge in my upbringing, huge. I could still do all the Temptations dance steps and everything. And bands like the MC5. These are bands we worked with.
Yeah.
MC5, Bob Seger, Alice Cooper, Iggy Pop, Brownsville Station, Frigid Pink. In fact, I just finished one of my quatrophonic for Radio 2. And one of my themes, it's a different theme every week. One of my themes was the other side of the Motor City, which is the white side of the Motor City.
Yeah.
You know, so it was very much the two things. Motown was a huge influence, and the bands around at the time. Well, it was the British invasion years, so we did a lot of covers. We did the normal American covers, and then we did a lot of British covers because everybody was doing British songs. So
You said you came from a very, very musical based background. Minus your family, who are obviously very supportive of you becoming a musician. What was the reaction from other people like when you said, "I want to be a rock star. I want to be the first leader to lead her own band." To lead her own band.
I have again talked to a lot of other bands about this. My dad had 4 girls and 1 boy, and he brought us up to be very. We never didn't think that we couldn't do whatever we wanted to do. I don't think he wanted 4 dependent daughters, so he brought us up very ballsy in a way. But he was very strict, but to believe in ourselves. So because it was also a musical family, it didn't. I always say that how people treat you is what's coming off you. So if I'm meeting you as a bass player with complete self-belief, complete self-respect, you're going to treat me that way. That's how I see it. So I didn't have a hard time. Other musicians might have. I didn't. You know, nobody messed with me in that respect.
Do you think that was very unusual at the time to have, for a female artist, especially in kind of the rock genre, to have that kind of self-belief and the fact that they were going to be heard as a credible musician opposed to just another female musician, if that makes sense?
Again, I have to go to gender. But if I go right back to my childhood, when we used to do family shows and everything, and everybody would do a song or a dance or whatever, I realized that when I got up to do my bit, whatever my song or dance would be, even from 6, 7 years old, that I held the focus. So I consider myself an entertainer from day one. And because I discovered it so young, you know, that I could hold the focus of an audience, then I got in the band, and I remember the pivotal moment when my sister's first husband said to the rest of the band, "We need to put more lights on Suzi, she's the front." And I kind of thought, okay, this is what I thought when I was a kid. I didn't say, give me the attention, it just came to me. So because I had that belief in myself, it wasn't unusual for me. That's getting back to your question. It was, again, natural for me. I knew what I wanted to do. You know, you're young too. I found my path very long time ago, and I didn't deviate.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, taking looking at the Pleasure Seekers, the early days when you were with your sisters and a couple other people, weren't you, in the band? You kind of found moderate success, like locally, didn't you?
Yeah, we worked a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't have any hit records, but people knew who we were.
Did you feel like you were taken kind of seriously, or do you think the fact you were an all-female band at a time where that was kind of a very new thing, do you think they weren't ready for it almost?
We were a novelty, yes, because there weren't that many female bands around. But I don't think they treated us not seriously. I think, we were a good band. Pleasure Seekers were a good band. We were a show band. We did a Sgt. Pepper set. We did a Rolling Stones set. We did a Motown set. Switched instruments in midstream. Did some dance steps. So no, they did take us serious, yes. But we were, of course, a novelty. Sure, you have to say that.
Yeah.
Even today, it's still a novelty.
Exactly.
Yeah. Makes me wonder what I bothered to kick the door down for sometimes.
And that's exactly why I'm here.
Yeah.
I read somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, because this could just be the internet, but somebody quoted you as saying that you saw, at that time, wearing miniskirts and hair extensions as a necessary evil to achieve success. Do you remember that, or do you agree with that?
I didn't think it was to achieve success. I thought it was a necessary evil because we were getting gigs all the time. Where the guys struggled to find work in the bands, we were different. So the club owner said, "Oh yeah, get an all-girl band, bring the crowds in," which we did. But they also wanted us to wear miniskirts. I thought, okay, if we want to work, then we're just gonna have to swallow and wear the show. Okay,
yeah,
that's okay. But it wasn't really me. I was always more of a tomboy.
Definitely.
But it worked. We got the work.
Exactly. Yeah. And
my legs are fine. So that's.
So 1971, Mickey Most comes to you and says, "I'm going to make you the first Suzi Quatro."
Yep.
Takes you over to England.
Yep.
Did he kind of have a clear vision of how he was going to break the first female in rock? What did he say to you, or what did he do?
I have my one-woman show. I don't know if you got a chance to hear it. It was on BBC Radio 2 last Christmas, called Unzipped. Okay. And I talk about all this. And it's funny because Mickey knew he had found something special. This is in his words, what he told his wife. Yeah. And, it's a funny line. I say it in the show. He says, he saw after seeing me, "When I found it. She said, "What?" And he said, "I don't know." So he didn't know. He knew what I wasn't. He didn't know what I was. But he knew I was different, And what he liked was, and he said it in many interviews, that when he came to the gig, that the girls were going crazy and the guys were going crazy. So Mickey always said to me, "You have that androgynous sex appeal, that you appeal to straight and gays of both sexes. And that's what will make you successful." And he was pretty much right. Because we've got a big gay following. And as your dad just said, I have a straight following too, I was a pinup for a lot of people in every gender. Yeah. It don't matter what it is, yeah.
Yeah, because was it Joan Jett who said the day she found out you were straight was like the worst
I know.
day of her life or something?
I love Joan. That makes me laugh. Sorry, Joan. She must have been so disappointed. She was such a fan. She probably thought, one day, Joan, come here. You're for me. I'm for you. Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah, I read that.
I think it did destroy her, actually.
Yeah. So a few years later, artists like Blondie kind of followed in your footsteps.
Yes.
Obviously taking your musicianship as well as your actual steps, because they moved to England, broke England first, and then went back to America and went back with success.
But she was just a singer, don't forget, so there's a slight difference there.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But do you think that at the time, the US was less accepting than the UK of women who didn't want to conform to the stereotypes of femininity?
I think that the UK has always been quicker to embrace novelty. Something different, like Jimi Hendrix came here first too.
Yeah.
So the list goes on. Chrissie Hynde came here first. And so when I came, I was completely different, and they went, "Yes, please." The funny thing is when you go further down the road, I didn't have lots of hit singles in America, although I toured there. Mm-hmm. Mickey kept changing the record company label, so it didn't give the longevity. But I toured there very successfully. And then I got Happy Days, which was Leather Tuscadero, which was playing the guitar, the bass with the band. And after that, Joan was able to break through.
Yeah.
So I think, and I've talked about this before with her, Leather Tuscadero, first of all, Suzi Quatro went there and toured, and everybody got used to that, although they're not huge hits. Then Leather Tuscadero happened, and then Joan came in. Mm-hmm. And so she took those both things and wrote on that. And she did very well for herself. But that's how it happened, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
That Leather Tuscadero made it then acceptable because it was on nationwide television.
Which was also
made it acceptable.
Very popular show at the time.
Exactly.
So it kind of changed.
It did.
Changed the outlook there. Fast forward a couple of years then, 1973, that very famous performance of Can the Can. one of the first live performances that I think it was. You're clad head to toe in leather, which would later become your signature look. How revolutionary do you think that performance was for kind of society and music embracing the role?
Are you
of the
talking
female?
about the first Top of the Pops?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, people talk about it all the time. Apparently it was shocking, but in a good way. But
Yeah.
like, can you imagine, you watch your TV and on comes this little girl with this jumpsuit on and leather and this huge bass guitar screaming her ass off. I don't know what parents must have thought. Yeah, it changed everything. I think that changed everything. That was a wake-up call.
Did you see it as that moment? Did you see it as your moment to kind of
No,
really stamp your
I
authority?
saw my moment a slightly different way. After the Slade tour, Mickey put us together with Chin and Chapman, and we made Can the record, and then we're going to go in the studio and da-da-da-da-da. And Mickey and I had a big discussion, excuse me, a big discussion about image.
Mm-hmm.
And he said leather. I said leather. He said no. We had a big argument. He didn't want me to wear leather. And I said I insisted, And then he came up with the jumpsuit idea, and I thought that's great. This is all in my one-woman show because I didn't even know it was going to be sexy. And that's such a stupid thing to say, but it's true. So I remember this was my pivotal moment, standing, getting my photo taken for the image shots for Can the Can. We hadn't done Top of the Pops yet. We're getting the pictures done first. And a song was playing, and the band were all lying on this table at my feet, so I'm in charge. I have my jumpsuit on, and I'm, for the first time, this person. And the photographer said to me, this was my pivotal moment. He said, so you got Can the Can on, jumpsuit on, band around my feet, doing what I'm doing. And he said, give me that Suzi Quatro look. Now, until that moment, there wasn't a Suzi Quatro look. But he said that to me, and I went into the pose.
You just assumed that role.
No, he said, the way he said it, record, band, suit, he went, give me that Suzi Quatro look. And I went, and I gave him this look, and it became me.
Yeah.
Just, I went, oh, he said, perfect. I went, okay. But had I done it at any other time of my life, that would not have happened.
Yeah.
It was the pivotal moment when I knew exactly who Suzi Quatro was and what she looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of really felt...
This is me.
Yeah.
I knew what he meant. When he said, give me that look, I went, here I am. Ready.
Deal with me, sort of thing, yeah. So that performance, as you said, obviously quite shocking at the time, hadn't been done before or seen before. It was very ballsy, it was brash, and it was kind of completely challenged the conception of femininity at the time. What was like the specific reaction to that performance, and what were people saying about you and kind of your artistry?
Well, the girls wanted to be me, and the guys fancied me. Boy, that's a long time ago. But I do remember going into the local pub just after the first Top of the Pop was shown, just for a drink with my ex-husband. He was my boyfriend at the time, my guitar player. And we walked in the door, mayhem. I had no idea. That's that girl, that's that. And I go, oh. People still talk about it. They do say that it changed the way they thought about things, which is good.
Yeah.
I didn't so much as open the door. I think I kicked it down.
Blasted it wide open, sort of thing. Yeah.
I just remember Mickey saying to me, this is your first Top of the Pops appearance. I need a performance. And that just meant for me, go for it. So I went for it, like I do.
The only way you knew how, sort of
The
thing.
only way
You
I know
weren't
how.
necessarily thinking
I
consciously.
can't coast it. It's not in my dictionary. Take it easy. What's that? What's taking?